let's head across to the United States of America. And Mary Anna Mancuso joins me, political analyst in New York. A very good morning to you. Well, good evening, I should say, to you. I think it is.
Good morning.
Good morning. Right. Lovely to see you. You've got a new political party being born.
That seems to be the news that's reverberating across the country here in America. The Forward Party was announced earlier this past week, and it's been interesting to watch all of the to-do around the news cycle because Americans are clamoring for a new option at the ballot box, and 63% of Americans are open to a new party because currently only a quarter of Americans are happy with the two-party system as it is.
Yeah, I mean, it's a great time for a new party, and we've got a third one called the Liberal Democrats, I think, but they're very quiet. Can the Forward Party push through, though? I mean, who's responsible for it? Who's behind it?
Well, who's behind the Forward Party is Renew America co-founder, former New Jersey Governor Christine Todd Whitman, former Congressman David Jolly out of Florida, and former presidential candidate Andrew Yang. And it's interesting because this party is not going to be built overnight. They have an ambitious plan to be on the ballot in all 50 states by 2024, which is our next presidential run. But they'll be focusing on uncontested races across the country, and they're building the volunteering campaign network basically to make this a reality, and there's no doubt in my mind that they're going to get it done.
And who's backing it? Because in America, politics costs big bucks.
It does. You know, you have to have money to play the game, and they're not shying away from that. At least right now, they're starting off in a very strong funding position, but they're not releasing their donor strategy as of yet. So we'll have to stay tuned to that. We do know that what's on the agenda for them is they're looking to do a bus tour across the country. They're going to be listening to Americans around the country, hearing what matters the most and how they can help influence the decisions that are happening in Washington and locally in their backyard.
And how is Washington reacting to this? Because, you know, American politics feels like it's very much a closed shop, if you like. You get the same families or the same people involved in this. They can't be happy about seeing a new pretender to the throne.
Well, it's kind of the beautiful thing about America is that they're always open for competition. Now, I will say that both parties were definitely kind of awestruck. They couldn't believe what they were seeing, but they'll have to really guard their candidates and work very hard to actually make the case to the electorate, which they haven't had to do up until this point with now a viable, new, credible third party.
And you say that they are looking to be on the ballot for the next election. Who? What's the name on the ballot?
The name will be Forward Party. They're working on ballot access across all 50 states by 2024.
But who's going to be standing as president? Do we know?
Oh, well, they're not talking about the presidential campaign just yet. No one has actually made an illusion that they're going to be running at that point in time. They're going to be focusing on candidates across the country. You know, we've got state, local, as well as national, Congress, the Senate, all of these other opportunities, not just the presidential race.
But there is a sense that it'll be Trump and Biden. That's what we're hearing.
Well, as I'm sure you've heard, there are rumors that former President Trump will be announcing his run in 2024 in the next coming few weeks. I mean, heck, I could be back here next month and we could be talking about that.
Yeah.
And of course, President Joe Biden does intend to run for re-election.
Yeah.
It'll be interesting to see because I think I had mentioned when I was speaking with your colleague last week that we have not had a president who's run for re-election and not received a party nomination since Franklin Pierce. So It'll be interesting to see what the Democrats do in 2024 with President Joe Biden.
Yeah, it certainly will. And let's talk about Joe Biden further. His rebound COVID infection.
Yikes. I really hope the president gets well soon. Apparently that does happen, which was news to me. But then again, I am not a doctor, so I can't necessarily speak to that. But I can say that the one thing I have been absolutely interested with and I absolutely applaud the president is to continue working while he has had COVID.
But he knows it is COVID and not cancer.
Right, which is great. We'll take that.
We'll take
we
that.
hope that he gets better soon because as I'm sure you guys have seen with the uproar at 10 Downing, it does actually leave the country a little bit nervous when something happens to the leadership.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, we're still having that lovely fight. So let's talk about the terrible wildfires and floods. I've been seeing some absolutely awful photographs coming out of the US at the moment.
Yeah, climate crisis is real, and it's really important that we get to work on it. When Joe Biden came into office, he had a really lofty climate goal that he wanted to reach in his 4 years of office. And I hope that people will start to take notice. In Kentucky specifically, he's greenlit aid that the governor has requested to help everybody in Kentucky that have been affected by these floods. And in California, we're seeing the same thing. The wildfires just continue to rage, and it's really, really unfortunate. My heart goes out to everyone affected in those two massive weather.
Awful. Have they been declared states of emergency? Because that's really important for extra funding, isn't it? And for a lot of other stuff that gets sent along to help.
I know specifically with Kentucky, it has been declared a state of emergency.
And what are we looking? I'm just looking at images now, funnily enough, on another news channel of those floods. I mean, they are absolutely devastating, aren't they? How many people have died?
Last I saw, the death toll was at 25, and they're still doing rescue and search efforts.
And the fires, any sign of those being controlled in California?
They're still working around the clock to get that done, and I hope that they do. It seems every summer California gets hotter and catches on fire, and according to climate scientologists, when it comes to Kentucky, they've actually predicted this happening with the climate crisis as it continues on.
And so what is going to be, I mean, a lot of people in America, Donald Trump, for example, in the Paris Accord, he was saying, look, we don't care, we have the right to make money, we're going to go ahead and make money. He wanted to open all the coal mines. He wanted, all of that to happen. A lot of people are not persuaded by the climate change things that are happening. A lot of people even call me when I talk about it and say it's not nothing to do with us. It just happens. How is America going to get on side with a climate change strategy that could affect earnings and income and lifestyle?
Well, that's the thing, is that the first thing that has to happen is that bipartisanship needs to get to work. In the very beginning of the pandemic, Americans came together. Congress came together. They focused on how they could solve this issue, and now they need to apply that when it comes to solving the climate crisis here in America and beyond. Look, climate crisis is at the top of every issue when it comes to elections. I don't care if you're talking about the economy, you're talking about immigration. Everything comes down to climate crisis, because at the end of the day, if we don't protect the earth that we are on, then we will not have to worry about any of the other issues, because we'll either be underwater or we'll be on fire.
But that's different, though, to getting people on board who supported Donald Trump saying, let's just make money. Let's not worry about anything else. You've got other countries polluting, India's polluting, China's polluting. Why shouldn't we pollute?
Well, it's a good thing that President Biden brought us back into the Paris Accords, because globally we have to work together to be able to solve the climate crisis. This is not just a single country doing its part. Everybody needs to come together, and they have to do their part to solve this and to find these solutions.
But, America is a consumer. The country is known for it, right? So you've got the new cars, the big cars, the cheaper fuel, consume. Is that going to be easy to persuade people to rein back on that?
One of the things that the president wanted to do is he wanted to start giving credit for people buying electric vehicles to cut down on carbon emissions. And he wanted to have the reduction of carbon emissions by 2050. And I think that that's an excellent start. We have to incentivize, and because, as you know, Americans are consumers and we love to be incentivized. And there's a really great place to start, as well as finding other ways that you can reduce your carbon footprint, as well as calling on your elected officials to ask them to pass legislation to get something done with the climate crisis.
Great to talk to you as ever. Thank you very much indeed. Mary Anna Mancuso there, political analyst in New York. You're with Petrie on TalkTV. Stay where you are. Back in a sec.